Chapter 4, the Dramatic Play Center. Let's talk about it. What is the role of dramatic play in the preschool curriculum? How are we going to set it up? And how can we use digital devices in dramatic play? Let's go. Oh, more. How dramatic play activities promote social, emotional, cognitive development, creative development. Um, how we can incorporate reading books into dramatic play. And what about superhero play? How do we understand it? How do we control it? What's your role? How do we do assessment? And what do we do when we have out of control play? So, the most complex kind of play and most important is dramatic play because this is children taking on different roles. This is them they're taking what they see in the world around them, right? They're incorporating it into what they're doing. So, that takes some real like cognitive synthesis to figure out, oh, I see my mom driving the car to work. And so when we play in dramatic play, I'm going to pretend that my chair is a car and I'm driving to work, right? Um, so make believe is created through pretend roles for children, pretend places for their roles to be enacted, and pretend situations to respond to. So you can say, oh, today we're going to be ducks, right? Or you can say, look, I've lined up the chairs and we're all going on an airplane. And then a pretend situation would be the same thing, right? We're all going on an airplane. Pretend places would be the chairs being the airplane. Gender roles, accept any role the child wants. So you worked on the Toys for Boys and Girls assignment, and that should have made you think a little bit about gender roles and children's play. We need to be very sensitive about how we are presenting gender roles for children and making sure that we are not only allowing children to do what are conventionally acceptable gender roles. If boys want to be in charge of nurturing babies in the housekeeping area, of course they should, right? If girls want to be in the workshop working with power tools, of course they should. There's no reason why any preschool should be limiting what children are allowed to do in dramatic play. Setting up the dramatic play center. Have a family area to stimulate role playing. You need to have a family area, so we call this housekeeping sometimes, because that is what a child's world is at this point, right? So they live in a house, most likely, or an apartment. It has a kitchen. It has, jobs that are done around the house, and that's what they know and understand. You want to organize props for matching and classifying. One thing that you would be doing is having all of your food in your kitchen in one basket and all of your dishes in your kitchen in another basket, and having those labeled and marked and places marked on your shelves so that when you're cleaning up, you're not just putting away, you're sorting and matching and classifying, and you're doing math. Isn't that crazy? Include multicultural dress up clothes, include multicultural pictures, making sure that you are representing the people in your classroom and the people in their worlds, okay? Have a second room in your dramatic play center. So don't just have your housekeeping center, have another place where kids can play as well. So you might have a tool bench, you might have a market, you might have a car. Those things are dramatic play. And it's important to have not just your kitchen set up, so that kids have opportunities to take on a bunch of different roles. Have parents contribute props, right? So cookbooks are fantastic things to put in your dramatic play, and people always have old cookbooks, especially the ones that have pictures of food, because it's got words, it's got pictures, it's got directions to follow. Provide a toy cash register for any store setup, right? Kids see that. Even put in old credit cards and old cell phones, all kinds of things that kids can play with to pretend they are in the world around them. Consider a loft. That's an awesome loft. I would love to have one of those. But maybe you have a parent who can build, right? Digital devices for use in dramatic play. The most important one here is at the very bottom, be aware of privacy considerations. Using your phone to record pictures or videos is super duper great for assessment, but you need to make sure that you are doing it with everyone's privacy in mind. Also, if you want to put digital cameras for kids to use in there, that's fun, right? Um, but it's important that you are using this professionally and only for purposes of the children's play or assessment. How does dramatic play promote social development? Well, dramatic play is always a place where kids are playing together, right? So you can help them have opportunities where it's dramatic play, not just in the housekeeping area, but we're all going to do something together. So put all those chairs in a line and pretend you're getting on an airplane or you're in a camper and you're driving around and you stop at McDonald's or you stop at the ice cream place. This is a great place to have kids think creatively together, right? So, we used to have a bus and everybody got a chance to be the bus driver, and the bus driver told everybody where we were going. And then we'd all get off the bus and go do the thing, go get the ice cream or go into the McDonald's or whatever. And then we'd all get back on the bus, and it's a new driver now. And where is this new driver taking us? Did everybody bring their tickets? So then we had to make tickets. This is something that just putting a row of chairs in your classroom can make for a lot of very interesting and valuable social dramatic play, right? And it can go on for a long time. And you need to understand at what point you step out of the action, right? So if you're doing a bus and you've got all the kids on the bus and then you think they've got it all figured out, you've been through the cycle a couple of times, somebody's driving, everybody else are passengers, and now it's so-and-so's turn, then you can get off the bus. You can say, oh gosh, you guys, you know what? I have to go see my grandma now. So I'm going to get off the bus, but you keep going on your trip and I'll see you later. Which can then lead to some sort of conflict because no, it's my turn to drive. No, it's my turn to drive. So then this is an opportunity for them to work these things out. Well, who drove last? Who still needs to drive, right? Helping them figure out solutions to conflicts in dramatic play also helps them figure out conflicts outside of dramatic play, right? And you can always read stories around this and then discuss about what happened. Promoting cognitive development. Like I just said, children need to practice problem solving, and dramatic play is a really good place for it to happen. It's practicing. Using it as a follow-up to field trips, right? So like I said, or also a precursor to field trips. If you're taking a bus somewhere, you want to set up your bus in the classroom and talk about how we do the bus, how we act on the bus, how we don't run around on the bus, right? Always reading about what you're doing in any area of your classroom is important. Going back after you've done a field trip or something and putting some of the props that came from the field trip, if you went to uh, um, the pumpkin patch, you might put some more pumpkins in your dramatic play area, just reminders of what we did. Language development. Make sure that you are giving them enough time to talk, right? This is interesting. I hadn't thought about this one. Have two cell phones, right? It's important that you have two so that people can talk to each other. Have real calendars, phone books, notepads, magazines, newspapers. Post office is a really fun field trip and way to have a dramatic play center in your classroom. I had 3-year-olds and we had all kinds of envelopes and cards and pens in our dramatic play area, and they were constantly writing things. And so then after a while, I decided, well, we're going to teach them how the post office works. So then they would address them to their parents. I would tell them, here's the address. This is where you live. We'll put a stamp on it. And then they would show up in their mailboxes at home. And it was so exciting. Fantasy role play, helping them create new characters and helping them understand what's real and what's not real. We used to do a big monster unit with my 3-year-olds. And we talked about, we would create a monster. And where does the monster live? And what does the monster eat? And these are all ways of helping them develop their imaginations. Integrating dramatic play by reading a book. Anytime you do anything in a classroom that you can read a book about, it just reinforces the ideas of what you're doing. Superhero play. How can we talk about superheroes in a healthy way? Well, there's a lot of superhero stuff out there, and we need to obviously understand it. And we can talk about what are our superpowers. And we can talk about how when we see movies, some things are real and not real. And we can talk about how bad guys in movies sometimes aren't real. They're just pretending to be bad guys. And it's okay to pretend to be a bad guy if you're playing. Helping them talk about and think about superhero play in a way that's valuable and healthy. Okay. And then what do? You watch what's going on. You take notes, you take videos, you make running records of play scenarios. You help encourage play to continue, or you give them other options. Again, using the 3M formula: manipulation, mastery, and meaning for your observations. How are they interacting with these physical objects? So when you have out of control play, how do you fit in there? Well, you can redirect the play. You can extend the play so that it changes to a different, right? You can stop the play and talk about, we don't play that way. Or you can take roles in the play yourself. Maybe there's a lot of accidents happening with cars in the blocks area or the cars area. Maybe you need to step in and be a policeman who's coming to check out what's happening with all these accidents. Why are so many cars bumping into each other? What can we do about this? So stepping in where needed to help the children. Okay, there you go. That's dramatic play. Dramatic play is very, very, very important. And I think that a lot of times we don't give children enough opportunities to do it. And it doesn't take a huge amount of supplies and planning. It just takes you being creative and helping them be creative as well.